Hey friends, today I'm teaming up with my garden friend Crane from Cranery Garden, and we're going head to head battling it out over which zinnia varieties are the best. We'll share our favorites, debate what grew best, and see if we can agree on the ultimate must-grow zinnias. Let the zinnia showdown begin. Hey y'all, it's Amanda, and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden. And today we have a very special guest that I'm so excited. We have Crane with Cranery Garden. How are you today, Crane?
I'm good. How are you? I'm pretty busy, but I'm good. Like everybody of us.
Everybody is so busy. Well, I'm excited because Crane and I today, we are going to battle it out and we're going to talk about what we think are the best zinnia varieties and why we think they're the best zinnia varieties. We're going to rate each of the varieties. We're going to have a little bias between them. We're going to have a little competition and see which of the varieties come out top with our scores. So I'm so excited.
We come up with this idea that we are going to rate all these seniors. Oops, oops, oops. That's not right.
Those are practice ones.
So so the scoring system we have four criteria. Okay.
Mhm.
The beauty has 10 points. Productivity has 10 points, and I and Amanda have to agree on these two criteria. And
Awesome.
Crane bias is going to be my point no matter what. No matter what Amanda think about this flower. I'm gonna give that one number. And I think the point is 5,
It's five, yeah.
and your bias is 5.
Yes.
And we have top 10 like popular senior varieties that we are going to go through all. And I
I'm
am
so
ready.
excited.
I'm so ready.
I'm so excited. I think it's going to be interesting because I think you and I, we both grow a ton of zinnias,
Yeah.
but I think we both have different thoughts because we grow in two different locations and then we grow for different reasons. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really fun to see what each other thinks about each of them.
And Jason always make fun of me because I always say in my YouTube video saying that this is my most favorite seniors variety in the whole wide world. And I keep saying to this every variety. But today is going to be like an honest feedback about each variety.
I went ahead and pre-scored all mine, and I was pretty harsh on some of them. So we'll see
Oh,
how how that
okay.
goes. So as we get started, what I'm going to do is we're going to, as we go through each one, I'm going to talk about that particular variety, just so that all of you all who are watching, you know a little bit about that variety prior to going into it. Crane is also going to jump back and forth, maybe on Google, just showing some different pictures and such. And then we're also going to have some maybe pictures of our own garden and different things like that. Okay, so which one are we starting with? We're starting with State Fair.
Yes.
Okay, so a little bit about State Fair for all of y'all out there. So they are typically about 3 to 4 feet tall. They are one of the tallest zinnias available, featuring really enormous blooms. They're fully double blooms, so you're going to see a ton of petals on them.
All right.
And the blooms tend to be about 4 to 6 inches wide in a wide variety of very bright colors. Now, for pest and disease with these particular state fair zinnias, they're susceptible to mildew and humid conditions. And of course, I like all zinnias, they're planted, they're best planted in full sun with a really great airflow. And I've grown a lot of the mixed variety of state fair zinnias. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've probably grown them maybe 5 to 6 years, not in a row, but over time.
Yes, State Fair is the first senior variety that I grew to.
I think it's just readily available. Like
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start with our first scoring column. Is it beauty or
Hmm?
is it productivity?
Beauty. One, two, three. 3.
7. I knew that we were going to be far apart on stuff, but that's
Oh,
okay. That's
yeah.
okay.
Yes.
We can come together and come with a number.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
I give 3 because I didn't like zinnias at all
Hmm.
because, they like, I don't know, it's just not like one of my favorite flowers. And, State Fair is like one of the most popular zinnias that everybody grow and it's like everywhere. And I'm like, I want to do something special in my garden. And I think that's why I give three.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I gave a 7 for beauty because of the double, it has a lot of double blooms in it, which I think is harder to find, especially
Mm.
for like someone like you. I know you buy a lot of the specialty varieties, but for
Right.
someone, other people who don't have access or they don't want to spend the money on some of the specialty stuff, I feel like State Fair is a great opportunity to have a lot of double blooms that they wouldn't necessarily get on some other stuff.
Mm.
And then I love it for its classic colors. It's just a very classic zinnia. So I rated it a 7. So if you're so low and I'm so high, do we come and meet in the middle? What do you think?
I think we can. You know what? What bothered me about State Fair is the colors.
Yeah. And I love the
Okay,
colors.
maybe five. What do you think?
5. I think so. I think that
You
if we're
comfortable with
far
five?
off on our numbers, we just meet in the middle and we're like, that's what the score, like that's how we even it up.
Let's do five.
Okay,
How about
5. Awesome.
productivity?
All right. Productivity,
Seven.
7.
Really?
We got the same
Yay!
one. Yay.
Yes. Bias. Mine's two.
Mine's 3.
Oh, okay. Wow,
Not bad.
17.
So it scored a 17.
Yeah, out of
I
30.
feel like that's fair out of 30. I feel like, yeah, it's kind of towards the middle.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's fair.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay. Yay for us. We did it. We did our first one.
I think those state fair is very accessible. Is you can get from big box store. The seeds
Mhm.
very cheap. If you start growing zinnias, get state fair and
Yeah.
and you can test them out with different spot in your garden because the seeds are cheaper, and yeah, things good.
I agree. Like, if I was getting started on zinnias, I would not go buy Floret to start. I
Oh
would
yeah,
start with something like State Fair, right? That it's easy and it's right there. Especially like I have a lot of people who grow with their kids. Like
yeah.
they grow to start with State Fair,
Oh
start with
yeah,
inexpensive zinnias.
and it's like $2 versus $20.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Okay, so next on our list is
Yes.
all right. So Benary's giants, a little bit about Benary's giants. So they are approximately 3 to 4 feet tall. Their appearance are large, fully double blooms, about 4 to 6 inches across in a wide range of colors. And they are known for having very strong, sturdy stems that make them excellent for
Oh,
cut flowers. With disease and pests, they're resistant to powdery mildew, but may attract some aphids, Japanese beetles, and spider mites. And Benary's giants are all over the place. You can buy them in big box stores, but you can also buy them online. And I think that they are extremely, extremely popular.
wow. Yeah, they are, and I'm not sure I in my location I cannot find Benary giant at anywhere.
Really?
I
They
have
are all over the place here.
really
Yes, I'm
I have to order
surprised.
from Johnny Seed and it's like $6 per package.
Yeah, yeah. I can go over to Home Depot right now and they'll
Mhm.
have them. Like they'll totally have the Benary's giants. So interesting that they're not readily available in other like everywhere.
Let's do the score.
Okay, ready? 1, 2,
Two,
3,
five.
8.
Oh, I think I think because it's just me because everybody who grow cut flowers grow Benary giant.
Correct.
That's why I like how about you? Why eight?
I gave them an 8 because they're so large. And
That's
I
correct.
I I love that about them because like in my area, well for me, I can't grow dahlias well in this area. So I'm
Oh, that's
jealous of
hard.
all my dahlia growers. So
Yeah.
Benary's giant, it fulfills a little bit of that dahlia feel for me because they're just so big. So that I think is one of the reasons that I'm really drawn to those.
Mm,
And that, they're just so reliable. So, I mean, there's beauty in reliability,
yeah.
in my opinion.
That's a very good point, and you're about to make me cry. There's one year I failed my diet so bad. And then I don't know who I'm going to say to, I didn't have a lot of flower fan back then. My husband did not understand the pain that I have. So I go to Facebook, Facebook group and said, oh, and then I just put it all out there. And then there's people said, why don't you grow zinnias, Benary giant?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
something else, like take a break from dahlias. And that's so true. I think I can
Yeah.
meet you at 7.
Yeah, let's meet at 7. I think that's good. I do agree with you that, especially if you're a cut
Yeah,
flower grower, like a farmer, everybody grows Benary giants, so
yeah.
they're not as special as some other varieties.
And that's so double.
Yeah.
I'm ready for fun
Productive.
activity.
Okay, I did 8.
I gave 10.
All right. Should we meet at 9?
Yes. And that's
I'm
because, I'm a cut flowers grower. And I gave 10 because out of all these varieties, they're the most productive varieties ever.
agreed.
I share in our last collaboration that I failed my seniors so bad last
Mhm.
year. I go along with, the other varieties. Benary giant or the survivors. They
Yeah.
they can handle like so many things that the other variety cannot handle, and they're still double, still big like dahlia. So that's why it's 10.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree with you. Okay, and then what's your bias, Crane?
2.
And my bias is 4.
Okay. Actually, I can change my bias, but I'm gonna go with my original point.
Yeah, no, go with your original stuff. I mean, unless I change your mind. All
So
right, so what that score end up?
the score is 22.
Woohoo! All
Ooh,
right.
that seems right.
Yeah, that does feel right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one, Oklahoma. And
Oklahoma.
a little bit about the Oklahoma series.
Yeah.
So these are a little bit shorter at about 2 to 3 feet tall. Their appearance is smaller than what we talked about with Benary's Giants and State Fair. Fully double domed shaped flowers that are about 1.5 to 2 inches wide. This variety is prized for its delicate dahlia-like look and is great for bouquets. Oklahoma series is actually well known for a good resistance to powdery mildew as well. And it is very resistant to common zinnia pests like aphids and thrips, which is kind of cool. And I would say that Oklahoma has a little bit more color variation than Benary's and State Fair. Would you agree with that?
Yes, yes, because they have so many petals.
Yes.
Sure. That's my assumption.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I also think they have some softer colors that aren't as like cotton
Yeah.
candy in your face, like
Yeah.
some of the Benary's Giants and State Fairs. All right. So what did you rate for beauty?
My rate for beauty is 4.
-7. You're way harsher than me.
Oh, okay. The reason is because they don't look like flowers to me. They look like a pickleball or something. And I'm
Oh,
like,
that's a good
yeah,
point.
yeah. And I use them for my bouquets, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know why 7.
I think for in the end, it just gets down to that I guess it's just so classic and they're so loaded with petals
Yeah.
and I actually like that kind of bald shape because I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting texture to include in my bouquets. Now, even with that said, like I think they're beautiful, but they're definitely like not my top choice. But I think that they're a beautiful zinnia to grow.
I like the ball shape of dahlia.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
for Oklahoma, because the petal is like it looks like pickleball.
Yeah, it's a lot of petals too.
Yeah. Why I
Yeah,
get
absolutely. So you had it at what did you have it at?
I have like 4.
4. Okay, so should we meet at like 5, 5.5? What do you think?
This is tough. I can meet you. Year five.
Let's go for five.
Productivity.
For productivity, I did a seven.
Mine is seven too. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
agree.
We've done good. We both agree a lot on the productivity stuff.
Yeah. Bias is two.
I did three.
That means you save five for something else. I know.
I am. I really like tried to like say I actually went through and I rated all my like ones that I thought were the highest
Yeah.
first.
Okay.
And because I wanted to make sure that I was like they were falling in the appropriate
Yeah.
like in the appropriate places in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next on our list
Queenie
is
lamb.
Queeny Lime. And I feel like this is a very controversial
Really?
variety because people either love it or they hate it. I found a lot of. Yeah. So
Okay.
let's talk a little bit about Queeny Lime series. So these are about 2 to 3 feet tall. They have a unique lime green petals that are often tinged with other colors, like blushes or rose or orange or red. The blooms do resemble dahlias, but they're in a little bit more of a compact and bushy growth habit compared to other zinnias, at least in my opinion. Now, regarding pests and disease issues, they are very resistant to powdery mildew more so than some zinnias, and they can get the occasional spider mites or thripes, but I don't typically struggle with a lot of disease regarding Queeny lime. Yeah, at most I might get a little powdery mildew on them at the very end of the season as the plant
Okay.
gets older and weakens. But I don't typically deal with a lot with them. But yes, what I found a lot of people either hate the queenie limes or they love them. Like, and so I
Yeah.
feel like they're just such a unique bloom. All
Mm.
right, so what did you give for beauty?
I give beauty for seven.
I gave an eight.
Oh, that's good.
We were close.
Hey,
Yay!
we do it. I'll do it.
Okay, yay, yay for us. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think I am on the side of I really love them. I love the variation of colors.
Mhm.
I also love that some of them have like a vintagey vibe to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like a dusty tone. What about you?
I kind of love hate a little bit because it depends on the weather. If we have cooler temperature, the
Hmm.
Zinnia zinnias are going to be more pink, more orange,
Hmm.
and it's gonna give you the candy look. But if we
Right.
have warmer temperature, it's gonna be like yellow and green. And
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
that's one year my Benary, I'm not berry, Queenie lamb. The colors so beautiful. There are about 4 or 5 colors in one bloom. It's like
Uh-huh.
I think it's Queenie lamb orange, but because of the cooler temperature, like the outside petals turn pink. So I have the lamb, orange, yellow, and then pink in one bloom. It's
Oh,
just so beautiful. But the other year can be like all green and orange and yellow. So
yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. I think my Queenie limes, I have one place in my yard that gets a little bit more shade. And my Queenie limes in that particular area, they get like a little bit of afternoon shade. They still get 6 to 8 hours a day. Those tend to be prettier Queenie limes in that area. And now that you say it, I wonder it's because it's a little bit cooler temp right in that area because they are not in the full sun in the afternoons, which is like the worst in our area.
yeah,
Awesome. Okay, so productivity. What did you score for your productivity?
9.
I scored a seven.
Why?
I don't feel like they're as productive. I think I feel like they take a little bit longer to create blooms than some of the other varieties once I cut them. And so I went with a seven on them.
Okay. I
Should
find
we
that
meet?
I find that you are generous on beauty and I am generous on productivity. I think they're doing pretty, I don't know, I think they are the most productive. Like
Yeah.
second most productive, from Benary Giant. But
Interesting.
yeah. Yeah, in
Well,
my
you
area.
do know that one of my biggest flaws, Crane, is
Yeah.
not cutting my blooms enough. That's one of the biggest
Okay.
issues I have.
That's good
So
day.
maybe that's part of it is that I don't cut them enough, so I'm not getting the productivity that perhaps someone like you who's
Mm.
more diligent about it is getting.
So I am going to meet you at 8 because I think
Um,
Queeny Lam should have less productivity than Benary's giant.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. That sounds good. Okay. What's your bias?
4.
I did 4 as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's number one so far. Yay.
Number 1 so far.
Oh my
Yay. I
God.
do
Oh my
love
God. Oh my
Queenie
God.
Lime.
Me
I
too.
really do. I really do love it. I think that we're discovering that for regarding beauty,
Yeah.
I there's a lot involved in beauty, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know that quote, right? We
Yeah.
both look at beauty in a different way, which I think that makes sense for all gardeners. We're
Yeah.
all have different gardens, and we all look at things. Some things are beautiful, others that aren't to,
Yeah.
someone else. And beauty for me is yes, it's beautiful, but it's also strong and reliable and like
Yeah.
things like that.
Oh,
Awesome. Okay, what's next on our list?
Cinderella.
Zinderella. Okay, first of all,
Yeah.
that's just the cutest name ever, right?
It is. It is.
It is such a fun name. Okay, a little bit about the Zinderella series. So these are about 2 to 3 feet tall. Their appearance is a little bit more like a scabiosa flowered zinnia with frilly dome-shaped centers. Unique appearance makes them highly desirable for floral arrangements
God.
because they are just so stinking adorable.
Oh,
And then disease and pest issues, they are moderate mildew resistant, but still need really good air circulation. So you cannot overplant these or they will definitely suffer with mildew issues. Have you grown a lot of Zinderellas?
I, well, well, we can talk about this more when I tell your score. I mean, my score. I I love them. So
Uh-huh.
my story about Cinderella is, I hated Zinnias, right? Then I go the state fair, right? And then I
Yeah,
I learned that there's a cut flowers, pretty cute Zinnias that not like bright and vibrant like state fair, and that is Cinderella. So I
yeah.
ordered Cinderella, and I love hate them.
Yeah.
I'll discuss
I
more. I'll tell
I
you
actually
my
I love
score.
hate them too. I totally agree with you.
Oh,
I love hate
okay.
them as well. So okay, so what is your beauty score?
My beauty score is 7.
That was mine. Mine's 7.
Done.
Okay, awesome.
L-
Okay,
l-
and then regarding productivity,
yeah.
I scored them a 5.
Oh, I scored them 1.
Okay, so we both agree that it's a lot less on regarding
Yeah.
productivity because that's significantly less than all the other ones we've talked about so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like that particular variety takes a while to get going. I feel like once I cut on them, it takes a while for them to rebloom. I also feel like the plant is a little spindly. It
Yeah.
quite frequently needs to be staked. There are just several factors. Like they're adorable, but
Yeah.
there's so many other problems that it makes it harder to grow them, in my opinion.
I grew them for about 4 years. There's
Mhm.
only one year that I get good bloom. They always bloom for me, but to have that scabiosa type, like ruffle in the
Mhm.
middle, cute like cupcake,
Yeah.
you need you need the right temperature,
Yeah.
sunlight exposure, and you
Right.
cannot disturb the roots. You have to give them all the space to have them bloom to that type of, of bloom.
Yeah.
And I give 1 because it's so unreliable, especially when you go for cut flowers. If you don't have that ruffle bloom, then you get like weak looking zinnias, look like almost like little
Yes.
wild daisy. So I
Yeah.
can meet you like, I think max is like 2 or 3.
Let's do 2. Because also when you refer back to that, if I have one Zinderella plant, I will be lucky to get one double bloom. on it. Almost all of them are the single, like you said, weak looking blooms. So always want to tell people, don't be fooled by the photos that you see online.
Oh
When
yeah.
you see them holding a bundle of 20, that had to be 20 separate plants.
Yeah.
That's
If
how they got those.
if I can recommend zinnias for beginners to grow, I would still like refer to State Fair versus Cinderella.
Hmm.
Cinderella is more expensive, more difficult to grow, and you're not gonna get all of them like in the photos. Also, only the first flush of flowers going to look like that. The second
Right.
flush and the third flush, they're gonna single.
Be singles. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so my bias was a 2.
My bias is two. Yes.
Yeah. That
13.
felt that felt
That's
where I thought it
sad.
would fall. Yeah.
That's
I thought,
sad.
I mean, it's not my favorite.
Oh, that's so sad. I, you know what? Floret flowers. She's she tried to breed something new, and I saw some of them look like Cinderella. So I hope she
Yeah.
can improve the variety, and I can love them again.
I agree with you. I'm hoping, like, when I watch her stuff, I feel like she's really honing in on the things that we all love
Yeah.
about Zinderellas. Like that cupcake feeling is
Yeah.
so cute. So hopefully she can create some that are just better productive, like just so much more productive.
I think maybe we should review what we have so far.
Okay.
So number one is Queeny lamb. That makes sense to
Mm,
me. Benary
that
is
makes
the
total
second
sense.
place.
Hmm.
State Fair and Oklahoma is both are 17, and
Hmm.
Cinderella's are the least. So that makes sense to me. What do you think?
I agree. They really did fall where I thought that they would fall.
You think we should differentiate? Maybe I think I can give State Fair more than Oklahoma, or you think it's the same on the blue?
Mm, they're in a similar area for me, but if you really feel like you need to give one like another point, I think that's fine.
I think I
Because I
wanna,
would,
yeah,
yeah, I don't want to end up with a tie.
yeah. I think maybe I give State Fair 6.
Okay, awesome.
I think that's good.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, I'm ready for the next one. Purple Prince.
Awesome. All right, so next we have Purple Prince, which is less of like it's more of a like a specific kind of variety as instead of like a whole series. So Purple Prince is about 3 to 4 feet tall, so it's quite large. Large, bright purple magenta blooms that are about 4 to 5 inches across, fully double with a classic zinnia form. They are susceptible to powdery mildew in humid conditions, and you do need to watch for aphids and caterpillars on them. But they're great for cut flowers and excellent for pollinator gardens. And for me, Purple Prince is one of the first varieties I started growing. And one of the things that I really enjoy about it is it attracts monarch butterflies like crazy in my garden.
Really?
They love this particular variety of zinnias.
Yeah, I think because they have the open center, right?
Hmm.
And also maybe the color.
Yeah. I think the color, I mean, because butterflies are drawn to particular colors.
Yeah, yeah.
But typically, in the fall, I can go out when monarchs are coming through in my particular area, and I'll have 50 monarch butterflies out there, and they're
No
all over
way.
the purple. Oh my gosh, it's the most. I'll put in some
Ah,
film so that you guys can see. It's
maybe that's why
ridiculous.
I don't have a lot of monarch because I don't grow this one. Okay, I just spoiled
They
my score.
Okay, you're gonna change. But purple prints, I will say, is also easily found at big box stores. So those people who
Oh
don't
yeah.
have access to a lot of other stuff, this is definitely a seed that you can find locally in your area.
Is it a type of state fair? Is it same?
I I don't feel like it's a state fair, but that's me. When I think
Hmm.
of state fair, I think of more like white, candy, pink, yellow, orange. Purple Prince is a little bit different. I also
Hmm.
think it's a little bit smaller than a state fair,
And more double.
and Yeah, and I will say, surprisingly, it puts off quite a few double blooms. It does put off singles as well, but
Mm.
it puts off quite a few double blooms, in my opinion.
Yeah, you mentioned this in your in the video that when I found you. You mentioned
Mhm.
these flowers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So for beauty, I gave it a 7.
Two. Two.
You gave it a 2.
I gave two because let me explain.
Yeah, you explain.
You just mentioned that every gardeners, every florist, they see
Mhm.
things differently, right?
Yeah,
Um, this purple, this type of purple is my least favorite color, and that's
yeah.
why too.
It's very intense color.
It is, but and also that's why I don't have a lot of monarch in my garden too because I don't grow this color.
So you should know that purple is my favorite color, Craves.
Oh,
Which is fine. It's totally fine. It's totally
yeah,
fine.
we don't have to
But
love the same thing, right?
no, we don't have to love the same things. But I completely agree with you that this is a very bold color. So I think that there are a lot of gardeners who would grow it and be like, ugh, just too much, like too much in the color. Whereas me, I'm like, bring it on, I want more. So okay, so
Oh,
do we want to meet in the middle on that one? Could you go to a 5?
I can, let me ask you this question before we
Okay,
to the point.
okay.
Do you like yellow color?
I do like yellow.
Okay, that's good because I like yellow too.
I like yellow.
Yellow is one of the color that people like either love or hate it. And
Yeah,
this two color is very tricky to me when you go, zinnia for cut flowers into cell because
yeah.
it's very tricky. I think because you like yellow, just because I like yellow, I can meet with you like four. How about four?
Okay, how about 4? And it's interesting that you pointed that out about yellow because purple and yellow are opposite each other on the color spectrum, like on the color
Oh,
wheel.
maybe that's why.
They're very contrasting colors, and I completely agree with you that I think most people don't actually enjoy purples or yellows. I think a lot of people lend towards like the blue tones or
Yeah,
like the pinkish red area.
yeah,
But I agree, those two are opposite each other on the color wheel, and so it makes sense that they would be so striking and more polarizing in other colors.
yeah. How about
Yeah.
four? Because I think there's a lot of people like me.
Yes. I
Okay,
we can do 4.
that's good. Productivity.
For productivity, I did an 8 because this sucker puts off a ton of flowers.
You give eight.
I
I
gave an 8.
I give nine. You know
Okay.
why?
Yeah. Why?
Because although I have hard time with my seniors in my garden, Purple Prince is one of the variety that keep self them seed themselves, like self seed themselves.
Yes. Yeah. They self seed in my garden. I haven't planted them in 6 years.
Oh my
6 years.
gosh.
I haven't planted them. And I get them back every year. And here's the deal, they don't take over. They just drop right where they were. It just gives me just what I need. I
Yeah,
mean, and so I feel like the productivity regarding that I don't have to replant these
yeah.
is great. So should we go with a 9 then?
I think we can do nine.
Okay. Okay, and then for bias, and my bias is straight up a 5 because it gives
Wow.
me I know.
Okay.
Interesting enough, my bias is not because necessarily it's a cut flower.
Mhm.
It My bias is because of a couple of things. It brings a lot of joy with the monarch butterflies in my garden, and
Okay.
it reseeds itself. And those are wonderful things that I love
Mm.
for my garden that other things
Mm.
don't necessarily other zinnias don't necessarily do for me.
Mm. You wanna guess my bias?
It's a 1.
It's a one, yes.
I knew it. I knew it.
And that's because they reseed themselves too. So every year I
Yeah.
would say like pop of purple like in the middle of nowhere, among other flowers that I grow. So it's like, are you
You're like
back?
you're
Like
me-
every
you're like you're messing up my garden by putting that purple in the wrong place. Whereas I love it. I'm like, bring it on, reseed, reseed.
You know what? I'm gonna try them this year. I'm gonna let them grow and maybe I have more monarchs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even if you can just like when they start to pop up, if you know it's them, maybe you can transplant them to a different part of your garden.
Mm-hmm.
And then that area can just be an area that you are trying to just attract the monarchs for that area just for
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, maybe in my vegetable garden, where I don't grow other flowers. So it's not gonna
Yeah.
clash with anything else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you can do something like that. But I mean, I understand like if you are growing all these beautiful zinnias and then this one very intense purple magenta color
Yeah.
just like pops up in the middle, I'm sure it's all like, ugh. And it's a big
Yeah.
plant.
Yeah.
It's a big plant. So it can really kind of suffocate some of the other plants. So I think that that's important to remember too. All right. Awesome. So next on our list is
Cactus.
Cactus zinnias. Okay. So a little bit about cactus zinnias. They are about 3 to 4 feet tall. They have a unique kind of spiky, almost twisted petals that create a ruffled wildflower-like effect. The blooms are pretty large at about 3 to 5 inches wide, and they're very kind of airy looking.
Mm.
And they are generally strong disease resistant, but can attract caterpillars and aphids. And I feel like they definitely look, cactus is the perfect name for them. Like they definitely have like this, I don't know, cactus, they're just so spiky looking.
Yeah.
I don't know how else, but they're just very distinct from the other types of dahlias, of zinnias.
Thin. Mm.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on cactus? I bet
I
my thoughts are the same as yours.
I am notorious for collecting seed, for buying seed. Sometimes that I
Yeah.
don't need them. But cactus is one of the zinnia variety that I never grow before
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah. You've never grown it.
So
Okay.
whatever you give them, I'll go with your numbers.
Let me tell you right now, Crane, don't grow them.
Why?
Don't do it. Don't spend your money on them. They are one of my least favorite zinnias. They
Oh,
drive me bonkers, and I no longer grow them either. So I for beauty, I gave them a
yeah.
2.
Two. Okay, I'll
Give
give
it to
two.
you. I don't like the spiky look of them. It's just not. I feel it looks like the flower's dying.
Mm,
It's what I think. The
okay,
petals, the way they curled, it looks like the flower has like a disease or something, and that it's not growing correctly. And
okay,
so yeah. And then for productivity, I gave it a 4.
okay.
It's not a very productive plant, in my opinion. I
Mhm,
also think that the stems are weak.
okay.
So they tend to bend a little bit. So, but yeah, not my favorite. And for people wanting to grow zinnias, if you
Mhm,
want to grow those just for fun one time, go for it. But I would not spend your money on
mhm.
those seeds.
So your bias would be like one, right?
Yes, but actually my bias is a 0.
That's not
That's
allowed.
okay. Well, I'll give it a 1 then.
One.
If
Oh,
I
this is
could give it
so
a
hard.
0, I know. If I could give it a 0, I would give it a 0.
Oh, I feel bad. So I think
No.
I'll give by.
But I know they're. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, there's no varieties that Johnny just bred. You,
Yeah. Maybe they'll be better.
I'll show you. Maybe you change your mind.
Maybe they'll breed them and they'll be prettier and maybe they'll have stronger stems, be a little bit
Maybe,
more
yeah.
productive. I
Um,
mean, here's the deal. I haven't grown them in like 5 years. So, I mean, maybe I do need to try some
yeah.
out.
Look.
That's a cactus?
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. This is not real cactus.
Yeah.
How about this one?
Oh, that's definitely a cactus. Okay,
This is
that's pretty, I
cactus.
guess, but still, like I grow heirloom chrysanthemums and my heirloom chrysanthemums look like that.
Mm. Yeah, you
Oh,
probably
okay.
right.
Now that one is gorgeous.
I think you're right. I would just grow chrysanthemum instead of this cactus zinnia.
I'm not a fan of the way they
Yeah.
look. And For someone who, if I were a flower grower going to sell,
Yeah.
I wouldn't choose a Cactus Zinnia. I think it sometimes it even looks like insects have been eating on the end of the petals when that's not what's happening. Like
Hmm.
that's just the way the petals look. So I think that more like if you're selling flowers, more people are inclined to not like that because it doesn't look like as beautiful as a bunch of the other zinnias.
You're right. That's why I never ordered cactus.
Yeah, right?
I'll give, maybe I'll do two. Maybe.
Okay.
Yay. Oh my
Yay.
gosh. The next one. I think we've been waiting for this one, Floret.
For Floret.
Oh,
Awesome. Okay,
God.
so a little bit about the Floret series.
Okay.
And their average height varies depending on the variety. They're about 2 to 3 feet tall on average. And Floret are all kind of specially grown by a farmer named Erin. And she does a mix of specialty zinnias specifically curated at her farm, Floret Flower Farm, often with a focus on muted, pastel, and vintage inspired colors. I
Mm,
feel like her colors are very artistic and aesthetic. They have just a lovely soft aesthetic to them. Now these are prone to powdery mildew. These specific ones from Floret, and I have
mm,
seen that quite consistently. People chatting about it. But I don't think that there are any other zinnias on the market that hit these color ranges that you'll find at Floret Flower Farm.
no, not at all. Look at this.
I know, right?
Yeah. Oh, oh.
Okay, you talk about Floret first.
Floret is one of the flower farmer influential people that inspire me to go cut flowers from the beginning. And I learned from her books a lot by arranging flowers and you
I've
know
got like a whole bunch of them up here.
oh yeah, so my bias on this zinnia is gonna be pretty high. And
Uh-huh.
last year I grew floret.
Hmm.
And you know what? Because I pour my heart and soul into this seed and they are expensive, I cry over them. I shared with you in last video too, because
Hmm.
when she bred the zinnias, she does not use the GMO, technology, whatever scientists to breed them. So she just,
Right.
keep cross-pollinating them. So the
Mhm.
varieties, of course, it's not going to be as strong as the other variety that being like stabilized for, 100 years. So
Correct.
I understand that they are, a little weaker on productivity, but the colors, oh my gosh.
Definitely the colors. If you are someone who I when I watch anything by Floret, I just feel like a tingly because it feels ethereal and it feels magical what Erin is doing.
Yeah.
And that speaks to my gardener's heart. Like that speaks a
Oh,
lot to my gardener's heart. And so the colors are next level. Like there's
no,
nothing that compares to them whatsoever.
no.
And I only think that she is going to get better and better. I think that in a decade, her flowers, her zinnias are going to be what everybody's growing.
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely think, especially in coming from my background in a floral world,
Mhm.
where as a florist for well over a decade, and I think about all these weddings that we've created, and if I had had some of these soft tones available, that would have been awesome.
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
design a whole wedding just around zinnias from Floret.
I I partially agree, but we discuss more when we have the score.
Okay. So, what did you put for beauty?
Um, I put 10.
Awesome. So, I didn't know what to put because I've actually never grown floret zinnias.
Oh, and do you know that she's not selling seed this year?
I know she's taking a year off. So, when they were all coming out, I just was not in a like budget area to be able to
Okay.
purchase them. And so I didn't purchase them. So I have never actually grown them in
Yeah.
my garden. So
Oh.
I feel like I have to go to you and let you make some of the decisions because you have actually grown them. Now, I do have a biased opinion because I am just so I'm
Mhm.
so drawn to Erin and what she's trying to do for gardeners and the
Mhm.
floral industry. I think is really cool. So, but I think I'm gonna have to. I can only give a biased opinion. I think you have to do the other
Yeah.
ones.
You know, you made a good point. The price is very high. It's $20 per 50 seeds, I think. And I had to share the seed with two other flower friends locally. Yeah, I can get all the varieties that I need, but then I kill almost all of my seed because of the cold, because they are not as hardy as, Benary Giant. And productivity, 5. And that's because they are not as strong as the other varieties, but 5, but when you compare to, Lysianthus compared to dahlias, they are still more productive than those flowers. Um,
It's true.
it,
It's
it's
true.
true. It's true. So I give 5 just because they are not as strong as the others. But it's still worth it. And I heard that if you are in a climate that perfect for growing cut flowers, you are not going to see the difference between
Right.
Floret and Benner's Giant. But I grow them in my backyard, and they are not as productive as in the field that Erin grow them. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they'll do for me being so hot where we are, but maybe they'll do well. I We do
Yeah.
struggle with humidity here, and I think that they are a little bit more susceptible to powdery mildew. So I'm nervous about that, but
Mhm.
I don't know. When she starts selling seeds again, I might try. We'll have to see how much money I have.
Amanda,
Yeah.
I have some seed I'm gonna send to you, okay?
You stop it.
And here this is
No.
the seed that I collect from my garden too. So so
Okay, do you want me to send you Purple Prince? I'm just kidding.
I already have them. Stop it.
You're like, please don't. Oh my gosh, Crane, you're so
Yeah, I'll send it to
sweet.
you. So these are my variety that I
Okay.
I grow for it next to Benary Giant. So
Okay.
I hope that they get the strength from Benary Giant, and so I'll send it to you.
You might have created the best Zinnia that ever existed.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That'd be awesome. You're such a sweetie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so what's your bias?
My bias is, hold on, 4. Your bias
I
is
actually
5.
did a bias. I think it's a 4 as well, but I do want to say that my bias is very much linked to Erin and what she's trying to do.
Mm,
I admire what she's trying to
mhm.
do, and I think it's fun and interesting, and how she's trying to educate all of us gardeners. I think is really fun.
Yeah, I'm looking at the score. It's interesting that Queeny Lamb, I thought the Floret is going to be number 1, but Queeny Lamb is
Mhm.
still the first place.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Hmm.
it's the productivity that really keeps it going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Lilliput.
Okay, so for the Lilliput series, a little bit about it. These are much shorter and smaller. So these are only about 18 to 24 inches tall. They're known for a small pom-pom-like flower, 1 to 2 inches. They're densely packed, bushy plants, like way more bushy than some of the other larger zinnias. And they're ideal for compact gardens and borders. These actually do pretty well in containers as well.
Hmm.
They're resistant to many diseases, but can suffer from a little bit of rust and fungal issues in wet conditions. So they do benefit from having a little bit of more air to them, in my opinion.
Hmm. I kind of agree, but there's certain part that I disagree because you know what? Because the leaves are smaller and
Mhm.
they allow more air into the plant. And I think because of
Yeah.
that, I don't get perimeter as bad at, just the same.
Yeah. Mine tend to grow really bushy. So
Oh,
there's
that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why even though they have the smaller leaves, if I have a bunch of plants together of the lily put, it's just really dense. And
Mm.
so I do tend to suffer with a little bit of powdery mildew. Now, I think if you plant the plants with some space in between each of the plants, I think you're much less likely to have powdery mildew. But you know me, I overcrowd. I overcrowd all my gardens. So that's just how I garden.
That's good though, because Lilliput is the flower is smaller. So if you if you don't grow them dense, you're not gonna see the impact in your garden.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think of Lilliput, I think of fairies. I think of fairy gardens. That's what it
Yeah.
feels like. It feels like of
Yeah.
all the zinnias, that's where a fairy would live in a little Lilliput, zinnia. So what did you put for beauty?
I put 5.
I put 6.
I can meet you at 6.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I think they're super cute and super sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, regarding productivity, I actually put a 5 on them, but I have a reason.
Okay.
So it does produce a lot of blooms.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like using them in arrangements because they're so small. So it doesn't necessarily meet some of my productivity needs. Does that make sense? I
Yeah.
feel like these are more of like you put in your front flower bed like that. They're more of that kind of zinnia as opposed to like a production cut flower zinnia.
From my perspective, I I agree with you on 5. My point is 5 too, but I love to put them in my bouquets because they just give the accent, the fairy tale look, to my bouquet and the cottagey look. But my issue here, that's why I give them 5 because I have to cut like 10 times to like I have to cut a lot more.
Yes, yes. I think that's part of my issue too. Yes.
Yeah, and when you cut flowers in your garden, you have to strip all the leaves on each stem. If you cut
Hmm.
Benary giant, like one bunch is like take like 2 minutes but for Lilliput to make like a bouquet, you probably like 20 minutes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
you can't just put like 3 Lilliput in a bouquet. That looks silly. Like you need, unless if you're doing a big bouquet,
No,
like
no,
if you're
not
doing a
at
really
all.
big one, you have to put a lot of them in there. It takes a lot of effort to put
Yeah,
Lilliput in designs. I do think that that's part of the productivity. It cuts the, I mean, it raises the amount of time you have to spend cutting.
yeah.
So but I do think they're super sweet and super fun. I think they're just maybe more fun to grow than to grow for production necessarily. But
Mm,
it always comes down to the amount of time you're willing to put into it.
yeah.
All right, what's your bias?
5.
I put a 3. 19.
No.
Okay. I actually thought it would be lower, but okay.
Yeah, and here's my bias column. You can see
Mm-hmm.
here it has the highest score on my bias
Yeah.
because this variety has very special place in my heart.
No, I
Because
love that.
because I grabbed the seed from a dollar store and I grow them, side by side with Floret with Benary giant. So the message I am trying to tell, everybody is that you don't need to spend a lot of money to grow flowers, and this little flower can make an impact, can be in a wedding, can be in, meaningful events of people's life. So I feel like I don't know. It's just like these little flowers can make an impact to the world, because it comes from
Oh,
dollar store. Yeah,
I
and
love that.
yeah, I include in, bridal bouquet and
Uh,
yeah, I just yeah, just
okay. Well, I'll
why
raise my
why?
bias to 4 then, because now you've convinced
No,
me.
you cannot change your original bias. That's good. We
I
good.
don't know. Now I'm all like, oh, but it's special.
Oh,
Well, I do like lily pads. I think they're fun. I think
yeah.
being someone who's just grown a lot of flowers, sometimes I just don't like to mess with things that are really hard to cut. And it's
Mm,
just hard to cut.
yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
So we only have one variety left. We've finally gotten down to it. We talked a lot about a lot of different varieties. So our
Yeah.
last one is dwarf zinnias. And a little bit about dwarf zinnias. They're about 8 to 12 inches tall. So they're really kind of more compact plants with small 1 to 2 inch blooms. They're great for edging and containers and wonderful border plants. And they are mildew resistant, though the dense growth can encourage some fungal issues if not well spaced. And I have definitely, like what you're seeing in some of these photos where they're planted really close, that's how I plant my all of my dwarf zinnias. And I do a lot of border work with dwarf zinnias. And I do get some fungal issues. I do get some rust on the leaves, but they grow so dense, you really don't see the fungal issues at all. It's more hidden in the center of the plant. And
Mm,
for a lot of people, like
mm,
profusion zinnias are in like
yeah.
this group. And so it's a very different group from everything else that we've kind of talked about at this point.
Yep.
Okay, so have you grown a lot of dwarf zinnias?
I do, and that's why I, add it
Yeah.
to the list to reveal. I, you know what? I I found when I started gardening,
Mhm.
I, you know, I like petunia, I like marigold, but zinnias have like these little like daisy like, flowers.
Yeah.
And when you add to the border, it break up the marigold. No, marigold
Yeah.
is so like boom,
Intense. Yeah.
intense.
Hmm.
And petunia is petunia. Everybody grow petunia.
Yep.
And this zinnia, I think it's profusion, right? It's just, so cute in landscape, in
Yeah.
planter. Yep.
Yeah. I agree with you. My house is on a corner. And so everybody walks past my house, and I always get people asking, what are those flowers? And it's always the zinnia borders because it looks different from any other kind of border plant that you
Yeah.
might use. It also lasts forever, far more than petunias. Petunias die in my summers. But I can plant zinnias in the spring. They'll last all through the summer into the fall until my first freeze. So they last quite a while in my area. So if you're someone who just wants to plant something one time and have it last for a long time, I think border zinnias or dwarf zinnias are a good choice.
Yeah, and you can technically cut them when they in the end of the season. The stem going to be like pretty long,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And Amanda, you probably like this because they don't need staking. There is one of the 10 zinnias that we discussed today that don't need staking.
It's so true. It's so
It's
true.
so good. It's so low maintenance. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
You don't have to deadhead them. They just
No.
pile on top of each other. They'll just pile new blooms on top of each other. So yeah, they're really, really fun. And there's some very cool, unique ones that you can grow. There's a cherry vanilla one that I think is absolutely beautiful and very fun to grow. But okay, so for beauty, I gave it a 6.
I give it 6 too. Wow. Okay.
Yay! Okay, sweet. And for productivity, I have to preface this. I did not give this for the score. I gave it for how many flowers it produces and how I don't have to really take care of it.
Mm.
It just produces. But I don't use these for cut flowers. Even though you can, I don't use these for cut flowers. So for productivity, I actually gave it a 7. And because I think it is very productive, it doesn't meet productivity for cut flowers for me, but it does a lot in my front gardens in the front of my house, and it just blooms and blooms its little head off.
I gave 8, but I can do
Okay.
7 because I think it's not fair for Queeny Lamb if I
Hmm.
score them the same.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree with you. Yeah. And then for my bias, I gave it a 3.
Um, mine is 5.
Okay. Yeah, they're great plants.
Yeah, I gave 5. Wow. Okay, you gave 3, right?
Yeah. Did you think that dwarf zinnias were going to score so high?
I I don't remember why I give them 5. I think it's because they're so easy to grow, maybe.
They are.
Maybe they're like
They,
underdog, they're like underdog seniors. Nobody talk about them.
right. I agree. I do think that they're a little bit harder to start from seed. I will say the dwarf varieties.
Mm,
Because I've started a lot of them from seed, and they definitely have a lower germination rate than nearly every single other zinnia I've ever grown. So
mm,
quite frequently for the dwarf, I just purchase those plants at the nursery. I don't typically start them from seed.
mm.
So
Yeah,
that's why they didn't score a little bit higher on my bias because I do have to go buy those plants.
yeah. Are you ready to see the final? I'm
Yes,
looking
I'm ready.
forward
Let's
it.
see.
Let's do this.
Oh, Queenie Line
Oh,
won. Okay, I'm looking. We had
wow.
one tie. Okay. Interesting.
One tie. I would.
Yeah,
I can I give Lilliput more score?
I do. I told you that you could go up to a 4 on my bias for Lilliput.
Really?
Yes,
Okay. Thank
absolutely.
you. You're so
Yeah,
sweet.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
No ties. Yay.
Wow.
Nobody scored a perfect score either.
I'm surprised about Oklahoma.
You
You
thought it would be higher?
Yeah, I thought it'd be higher because it's such a popular cut flowers. Do you
Yeah.
have any surprise on anything? Queenie Lamb, right? The
I
surprise.
Queenie Lime, I figured it would be towards the top. I actually thought Benary's Giants would be number one.
Okay. I thought
Yeah.
Floret gonna be number one.
Yeah. I figured Floret was going to be pretty high as well. It's interesting because, like, the top three
Yeah.
are completely different kinds of zinnias. And
Yeah.
they all scored similar in the bias range, but they're all just so different from one another. So
Mhm.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm very surprised that scored so high because, like you said, it is
Yeah.
one that people don't talk about it. Like it's
Yeah.
just a given, you know. And so
Yeah.
I am not surprised that Cactus scored so low or Zinderella.
I thought Cinderella would be like in the middle because they're so pretty, but the
They are,
productivity is
yeah.
lower.
Productivity is an issue. I mean, here's the deal with state fair, I think there's a lot of things that are just readily available. But I think for people like you and I who've grown
Mhm.
almost all of these zinnias,
Yeah.
we're very particular now. And there's different reasons why we chose different ones. So while state fair is very popular, not everybody has grown Queenie Line, Floret, Benary's Giants, which tend to lend themselves more towards people who are focusing on cut flowers.
Mm.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so too, but it's still interesting,
Yeah, it's really
So
fun. What would be interesting is if we did this again in 2 years, would they still be ranked the same? Or would we
yeah,
have learned and changed as gardeners?
maybe, yeah. And maybe your opinion influenced me a little bit today, and maybe Purple Prince can be like, go a little higher next year. So I'm interested to know like which one you're growing next year, like this year.
So this year on my list, I do have Queenie Lime is on my list to grow. I've got two different ones. I'm going to try the blush again, although I've been having that same issue you talked about where they're mostly yellow and green
Oh my
on the
God,
blush
yeah.
ones. Yeah.
I'm not going blush again.
Yeah, so, but I'm also going to grow Queenie Lime Red because that one, out of all the Queenie Limes, is the most consistent for me, and I get the most color variation with that one. And then I'm growing a couple of Benary's Giants. I will absolutely have tons of dwarfs. I'll plant them. I'll purchase those from the nursery, but the plant's already done. But I'll do that one. I will absolutely have Purple Prince, and then I probably will grow one or two varieties of either State Fair or Oklahoma. But I don't think I grow as many types of zinnias as you do.
Hmm. I I'm disappointed you're not saying Cranery Zinnias.
Canary, oh, the canaries.
Cranery,
I
Canaries.
do. Those are one of my favorites, and I do love that particular yellow tone as well.
No,
It has
I
a little
mean
bit of a
I mean, Cranery Zinnia is my
Oh,
zinnia.
cranberry seed. Well, if you're sending me seeds, then I will be growing cranberry
Okay, I'll
zinnias
send to you
this year.
soon.
Absolutely. I'll do a whole video on growing your zinnia seeds, which I think would be super fun to kind of
Oh,
do because I think that a lot of people do forget that they can collect their own seeds
yeah.
and you never know what kind of varieties you might end up with. And if you ended up crossing Floret and Benary's giants and you come up with like the best zinnia ever, that would be so fun.
What if my seed that you grow turn out to be purple prince because of that little prince that pop up between flowers?
Well, I won't be disappointed because I love Purple Prince. So I'll be thrilled.
Oh,
Yeah, this was fun. It was fun to go through and get
yeah,
different opinions. And I really like the scoring. I think it's really fun. I
yeah,
think it'd be interesting. I hope that everybody watching this video, if you guys will tell us maybe your top three that are your best and maybe your worst ones that you dislike the most. I'm always interested to hear the scale. So definitely make sure you drop down in the comments and let Crane and I know which ones you love and which ones you don't.
yeah. Hoping it's not purple prince.
But I love Purple Prince.
I'm gonna grow purple prince this year
Yeah, try
because
try
of you.
it, but do it away from all your other zinnias.
Yeah, in my vegetable garden.
Yeah, and if you get monarch butterflies, you
Oh,
can be like, "Oh, look what Amanda did
yeah.
for my garden."
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today, Crane. I want you to go ahead and give us a synopsis about yourself again, now that everybody's gotten to enjoy our banter back and forth and learn a little bit more about you.
My name is Crane. I grow cut flowers in my garden, including zinnias, all kind of them. And I grow them sometimes in the landscape, sometimes in my assigned cut flower production garden, sometimes in my vegetable garden. My vegetable garden turned out that, half of them are cut flowers because I'm crazy. I cut them, I arrange them, I sell them at my roadside stand. Sometimes I do events, sometimes I have workshop in my backyard, and some of them I just give away to friends and families. And I make YouTube video channel called Cranery Garden. That's it.
Awesome. Yeah, well, and if you guys haven't checked out Crane's channel, first of all, his garden is lovely. He's got this sweet little greenhouse too that he films in quite frequently, which is fun. I also really love his approach to videos. They're done very artistically. They're also done with a smile, so I always get some laughs. And I love the way he shoots all his videos. Yeah, very artistically and aesthetically done. So definitely go out and check him out, and you will enjoy his videos just as much as me.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna basically go ahead and close out my video with how I always close out my videos. Are you all right with that, Crane?
Yeah.
All right. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Thank you, Crane.
Thank you.